Welcome to the Organic Livestock Training on Origin of Livestock, Transitioning Dairy Animals. In this training, we will discuss the NOP rules regarding the one-time transition of non-organic animals when starting an organic dairy herd, and the narrow variants possible through the NOP to obtain transitioned dairy animals. What is a transitioned animal? If an animal is born as conventional and becomes organic, when the whole herd transitions, its status is transitioned. This is a one-time allowance for a new organic producer that has never been certified organic before for any dairy species. This status is specifically only allowed for organic dairies. Transitioned animals are never slaughter eligible as organic, but may produce organic milk and offspring. Let's take a look at what the organic regulations say about this. Organic livestock products must be from livestock that are under continuous organic management from the last third of gestation or pregnancy, with one exception. For dairy animals, it is also permissible for an operation to transition conventional animals to organic milk production. Again, this can only be done one time. There can only be one transition event for an operation, and they may not purchase animals in the future that are designated with a transitioned status. All dairy replacement animals after that must be under continuous organic management from the last third of gestation. There are additional, very specific caveats when we are talking about transitioning dairy animals. Let's discuss the requirements for a typical one-time transition of dairy animals for a new organic operation. As you can see, the regulation at 205236 is lengthy, so we will digest it in a few parts. Remember, only certified operations may represent or sell products as organic. The conventional dairy animal must be under continuous organic management for no less than 12 months prior to their milk being eligible for organic certification. The transition plan must be outlined in the operations OSP, or Organic System Plan, which must include the start and end dates of the transition period, animal IDs that will be transitioning, and any other pertinent information. Additionally, the animals themselves will not be considered certified organic until that minimum 12-month period is complete, which is the same for their milk. After that 12-month period, the milk and the animal can be considered certified organic. It is permissible for these transitioning animals, as well as their offspring, to consume crops that are in their last third of transitioning to organic certification. So crops that are not yet certified but have no prohibited substance applied for at least 2 years would be considered transitioned. These crops, though, must only be from on-farm crops or pasture. They cannot be purchased from an external source and brought onto the farm to feed the transitioning dairy livestock. However, if any offspring are born within this 12-month transition period or after, and the offspring or the dam mother did consume third-year transitional crops, the offspring will also be considered transitioned. On the flip side, If only certified organic feed is consumed, and the dam remains under continuous organic management from the last third of her gestation, the offspring will not be considered transitioned, but organic. When multiple animals are being transitioned, even if they start organic management on different days, they must all complete their transition at the same time. And this time frame must be no less than 12 months, meaning there may be some animals that end up being in a transitioning status for longer than 12 months. And lastly, any dairy animal that completes their transition and becomes certified organic will not be eligible for organic slaughter. Going back to the transition to dairy animal provisions, remember that once an operation has exhausted their one-time transition, whether that was a single purchase of a transition dairy animal or they themselves transitioned conventional animals, they can only source replacements that have been managed organically from the last third of gestation. This next portion of the Origin of Livestock regulation outlines that there are a few specific options for an operation to request a variance from the NOP, or National Organic Program, in order to source transitioned animals. If the operation can demonstrate that they are a small business per the NOP's definition, the operation may request a variance if they are selling the transitioned animals as part of a bankruptcy or forced sale, or if the operation has become insolvent and must liquidate its animals, which resulted in the operation being forced to cease operations, or if the small business is undergoing an intergenerational transfer of the transitioned animals to an immediate family member. As you can see, this is a very narrow set of circumstances to allow for obtaining transitioned animals. The operation requesting the variance would submit all supporting documentation to justify that they meet one of the outlined provisions to their certifier, and the certifier would submit that request for a variance to the NOP on behalf of the certified operation. The NOP or administrator will then review the request and documentation and send their answer back to the certifier and the operation to let them know if the variance is granted or rejected. This is a unique circumstance but may be applicable to some producers. This process is explained in better detail in NOP Handbook 2606 with the link seen at the top of this slide. These very specific requirements exist to allow more conventional dairy producers into the organic market. After 12 months of careful organic management and record keeping for the dairy livestock, and having access to certified organic pasture land, your operation can become organic. Thanks for taking the time to learn more about transitioning organic dairy animals and the nuances outlaid in the regulations. I hope it has helped increase your knowledge on this topic.